standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Morning and welcome to a chilly Juma private game reserve. My name is Brent Smith. I have Brian Joubert on camera, and for the first time in many weeks, the Killer Bees are reunited. And of course the thumb, who's actually controlling the camera, and Brian. We're on our way to where Karula had her kill on the Sunset Safari. I have heard that people have checked already, and it looks like hyenas stole that kill overnight. So we are going to go keep and have a check for tracks in the area to see if she possibly came across to the north to visit us on Juma. But this is Safari Live, and of course the live part of Safari means we are on a live African safari, and we are in the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, South Africa, particularly on Juma, Arathusa and Cheetah Plains. And at the moment we're going to be working around Juma, seeing if we can find any tracks of Karula, the dominant female leopard in this area, or often referred to as the queen of Juma. And she has two young cubs at the moment, about 5 months old, so very exciting. Hopefully she has decided to come to the north. Now also, if you want to ask me a question, feel free, or Jamie a question for that matter, to do it by using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Or send an email to questions@wildearth.tv. So it's Jamie and Gendre out on Maggie the Mahindra, and in Final Control, I'm not actually sure. I saw all three Final Control ladies up this morning, so there's a combination of Kirsten, Louise. Oh, it is Kirsten and Louise, and they'll be fielding your questions and sending them through to us out on the drive. Ooh. What do we have there? No, those are hyena tracks. I think those are the same culprits that stole Karula's kill. Now, where she killed that adult male impala is not a good spot. So hyenas and lions both like to use main roads like this as highways, and the kill was right next to that main road. And it's about 12 degrees Celsius, which is 52 or 53 Fahrenheit, so it's quite chilly for us soft southern hemisphere people. Brian, have you got any tracks going down Leadwood there? Doesn't look out of Leadwood. That was where we found her yesterday at the beginning, so no tracks yet. Hello, Victoria. Welcome on the Sunrise Safari. Victoria would like to know, what is the best time to see animals? Well, Victoria, that would be now, and in the early morning and the late afternoon is the best time, and that's why we're on drive at those particular times, because it is the best time to see animals. Now, just checking very carefully for tracks. I have my cup of tea because it's very cold. I have Earl Grey this morning. Feeling very, very posh. Okay, here's a good spot to check for tracks. So we're very close to the area where she is now. Judging from the hyena tracks, I've got some... Oh, here are cub tracks. I think this is her bringing them back to the kill, so let's just go forward a bit. And I said, unfortunately, the hyenas have walked down this main road and the kill was off to the south. So there's a strong possibility they've chased her to the south. But there's a nice little river system here that she might utilize. There you go. Let's just say good morning. Morning, Jan. How are you this morning? Cold. well, we're just going to jump across to Jamie while I have a quick chat with Johan so we can catch up and try to figure out where the Queen of Juma's gone.
Good morning and welcome on our sunrise safari. I'm heading out. My name is Jamie and I have Jandre on camera with me. And I feel as though Jandre and I need a name like the Killer Bees. We're both J. So the Killer Jays doesn't really work. In fact, the Killer Jays sounds rather terrifying. We sound like a pair that's gone on a crime spree or something similar. Whew. Well, I have devastating news, just as you see me pulling Maggie the Mahindra out of low range. The hyena den. We paid a quick visit and all was very, very quiet. And in fact, Gwen, or some hyenas' tracks go right past it from the DRC where they started out, obviously having a sniff around to see if they could find anything. And then along the road and straight up Gallagher shortcut. So no sign of any hyenas, no sound of any lions. Well, we're going to go and check Buffelshoek Dam and where they were yesterday just to see if they're still around. Oh, I've got to be careful. I nearly pressed the horn on Maggie the makeshift Mahindra. As of course you may have guessed, James broke Wendy. Well, I'm not sure James broke Wendy. I don't know if that's entirely fair. No, it was James. Jandre says it was James. Jandre would know. Jandre, were you on camera with James? No. Gary would like to know if there is perhaps a connection. There's lots of hyena tracks here, by the way, which is very, very positive, because there's lots of big tracks and lots of little tracks, which suggests that it is not just Gwen anymore, and perhaps our lovely hyena clan has decided to come back and pay us a visit, because their tracks are absolutely everywhere here. Now it's just a matter of figuring out where they are. Gary, yes, absolutely. 100% it has to do with increased cat sightings and the occasional bush bashing. In fact, that was what got Rusty's fan, I believe. There was a very large zebra wood. By his own confession, James found a very large, very solid, very spiky zebra wood, and he accidentally drove over it, and that did a little bit of damage. Mostly though, if you think about how hard our cars work, our vehicles work, twice a day, and it's not for 3 hours, it's not for just for the portion of the show that you see. We've got to get places, we've got to get back, so it's basically 8 hours a day on terrain that I wouldn't describe as easy. It's not your average drive down a suburban road. And then if you calculate the fact that Wendy is almost as old as I am, as is Jigger, as is Rusty, a little bit younger, but I mean, they're reaching their sort of 20s, they're no longer teenagers, and you get an idea of just how much they are struggling. Not struggling, they'll be absolutely fine, but things break, it's just the way of things. A vehicle is what happens to vehicles out here. We haven't even had any wild dog chases for a long time, Gary, so I don't know, it's a combination of things. Wendy's slave cylinder did break a while ago. Remember when I was trying to change gear and I couldn't, and we knew that she'd blown a seal there. It was replaced, but something else has gone horribly wrong with her clutch. That's just the way of things. But that's okay, because Maggie the makeshift Mahindra is out and about. And to move on to a different subject, which is what I'm currently splitting my brain thinking about, trying to work out where these hyenas are. Red Dog, in terms of how old hyena cubs are when they go to the kill, there's some very interesting research that suggests that that age varies depending on whether the mother is high-ranking or low-ranking. Now what I mean by that, because a hyena cub is going to start nibbling on meat at around roughly 6 months old, sometimes older, sometimes younger. Only the high-ranking females bring food back to the den, from what research has shown. So Madam, Pretty, Corky, they all bring food back to the den site itself, especially Madam. We've seen her do it a couple of times. So that means that their cubs don't run the risk of going to kills at an early age. That, combined with the fact that they have better access to food and therefore can afford the resources to lactate for longer, means that there's a general skew in favor of the survival of cub-born to high-ranking females. The lower-ranking females have to start getting their cubs out sooner because they need them to accompany them to the kills. They can't bring the kill back to the den site. And even if they did, if there were any high-ranking females with cubs there, they wouldn't get a nose in to feed on the kill. The high-ranking females and cubs would just push them out of the way. There's a little bit of variation there in terms of the weaning age of hyenas. It's nothing like leopards or lions, where they have a relatively well-established age at which they start to eat meat and then they stop suckling. And it's interesting that we've got all of our little, I mean, some of those hyena tracks are yay big. So it means that I saw on that road. So that means that there are the younger ones, probably our December, November, January. Looks like they might have been in the area. I'm trying to show you some very cold-looking impala. How's your view there, Jandre? I'm still getting to grips with Maggie the makeshift Mahindra's angles. Some very red impala, all fluffed up in the chilly morning air. Not that we can complain, it's really not that bad. We have definitely experienced far worse, although I say that from the relative safety of the insides of Maggie the Mahindra, and I basically disappear underneath the dashboard in this vehicle. Jandre has to deal with most of the wind chill factor. Okay, definitely not the best sighting of impala we've ever had. Most of them moving off into the bush. Oh, there was a little bit of a hop, skip and jump there. Still a little bit hormonal. There we go. We have a suggestion from Leah, who is 9 years old and is in Florida. Hello, Leah. Good morning, and well, it's not good morning for you, but good morning anyway, and welcome to this sunrise safari. Thank you for that. Leah has provided us with a name. She's called us the Mockingjays. There we go, Jandre. We are now the Mockingjays. Leah, you're actually thinking along the same lines as Jandre was thinking earlier this morning. Jandre also suggested the Mockingjays. So the Mockingjays it is. I'm not sure what we're mocking just yet. But we'll have to try and find our South African equivalent of a Mockingjay. Jen B says the Jazzy Jays. Yes, Jandre? No. Jen B, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that Jandre feels jazzy. Do you feel jazzy this morning?
Jubilant.
Jubilant. The Jubilant Jays. Trying to, no, my mind's gone completely blank. I think Mockingjays is probably a good one. We can mock, I don't know what we're going to mock. We'll mock something. We'll mock Kirsty. That's what we'll do. Kirsty, of course, being our lovely director. She says, thank you. On this chilly Sunday morning, I believe it's Sunday. Oh, on the subject of Sunday, don't forget about Fireside Chat this evening, which we will be doing in the usual Fireside Chat style. Who knows, James Hendry might even be convinced to play his guitar. I'm sure we could twist his arm to get him to perform a lovely song for you. And we've got all kinds of marvelous things to talk about because we've been so incredibly fortunate over the last few days. Now, I even got to see a leopard that I've never seen before yesterday morning on the sunrise safari. And that was Quarantine, watching an entire herd of elephants walk up to 3 in a row plan on cheetah plains. Somebody with very big feet walked down this road, very big paws, but probably about 2 days ago. Those are not fresh tracks at all, unlike our hyena tracks that are absolutely everywhere. Now, I'm sure you're all very curious as to how, just speaking of tracks, how Brent's tracking is working out for him. Let's head across onto the back of Rusty and find out.
Well, unfortunately, no tracks of the Queen head north, so it looks like as I suspected, those hyenas would have come from the main road and chased her south. So we're going to go have a look, see if we can find any sign of the lions from last night. And I will be keeping my ear to the radio, see if there's any updates from down the Cheetah Plains area. Although I think I haven't been to Arathusa since I've been back, so maybe a little meander to Arathusa might be worth our while. And you've got a little bachelor group of wildly beasts hiding in the thicket there. How's that, Brian? I think that's about the best we're going to get. There. Hello, Gnu. They are such incredibly funny looking creatures. And even though they look like a cow, they are not. They're an antelope. Gnu. And that's where that name Gnu comes from. So when they communicate, and especially when they're in big herds, you hear them, they go Gnu, Gnu, Gnu. Now, the name wildebeest is originally from Dutch, and it basically translates to wild cow. And when the first Dutch settlers arrived in the Western Cape, around Cape Town, there would have been wildebeest on the plains in that area. And I think it's possibly one of the first animals the European, or the Dutch European settlers saw out on the plains, and probably at a bit of a distance, and it does look a little bit like a cow. So I think that's where the name, the wildebeest, comes from. And a wild beast, or a wild cow. There you go, crossing the road. So this is a little bachelor group. Oh, hang on, I just heard some. Hang on a second, guys. Sorry, I just got to be on the radio. F, what you got there? Copy, I'm on Cheetah Cut line. Do you think I've got enough time to get there before she crosses north? Okay, hold on. We're going to turn around because there is a leopard. And I'm going to have to speed because she's going to cross out of our traverse area. And while I speed, let's go across to Jamie quickly so I can concentrate on not wrapping ourselves around a tree.
Well, I suppose that's a very good thing to concentrate on, not wrapping oneself around a tree. We've all had the occasional bump on the side of the vehicle. Scott, of course, I think wins the crashing into trees. Scott, who was a previous presenter here, he left us a couple of months ago to head to interesting places. Scott was once looking for a lilac-breasted roller whilst live, and he was driving, looking, and he bashed into a marula tree. And that remains to me one of the funniest things that has ever happened on live, just because of the sheer expression of surprise on his face. There's two reasons why I am sort of coasting along. One is that there's lion tracks absolutely everywhere around me. Two is that they're very fresh. And three, I'm running the risk of going into a bad signal area, and I want to give Brent a chance to get to those leopards. I'm also trying to work out, because the lions are pacing up and down, trying to work out which way was their last direction that they picked. I think they're now heading, looks like they might be heading to the east. Hello to Secret Agent Siamese, who is a new viewer and would like to know if this is in Africa. Yes, we are indeed in Africa. We are in the southern portion of Africa, South Africa to be exact. I always feel as though South Africa, on the one hand it's a cool name, on the other hand it's kind of, it's sort of a bit obvious, isn't it? The country that's in the southernmost point of Africa. Yes, I don't know whether you've ever heard of the famous Kruger National Park. That is about 5 miles in that general direction, the beautiful direction of the sunrise that is half-heartedly occurring behind the clouds. We are on Djuma, Arathusa and Cheetah Plains Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, and I've stopped with somebody behind me looking terribly annoyed. Sorry, tax! So good morning to you. You are on a live safari, obviously, since I just answered your question. We are in the Sabi Sand in the Greater Kruger National Park area, so open to about 4 million hectares or 8.5 million acres of wilderness area. Good morning. You think those Ngala and Konzo are not so fresh back there?
Yeah, last night the guys are just following them. They said I can't search and see also Google. Where did you come from this time?
Come from Gallagher shortcut. No Nkonzo there, nothing but meat. Yeah. That way? No. Okay, we'll come help you. What's your route from here, Tax?
I'll go straight along the path.
Okay, copy. I'll take Gary Cut line. Cool. Okay, just planning out a route. Obviously, as this is the Sabi Sands, to get back to our introduction to our live safaris, it means that there are also guests here that go out on a real life safari. We've got the next best thing, which is our live safaris. And because it's live and interactive and goes on for every day, twice a day, it means that our animals become incredibly well known. We become incredibly familiar with them. We have lions that we know very, very well. We have leopards that we know very, very well, and we can actually follow their stories throughout their lives. Now, Brett started off the morning looking for a leopard known as Karula, the Queen of Djuma. He's now racing towards the sighting of her oldest daughter, or perhaps she's got twin daughters that are coming up to 10 years old. Hopefully he will be able to find her for you before she disappears off the traverse. Oh, closer and closer, black hole. Just find something else to show you, perhaps a nice lion track. Never mind, Brent has got the leopard.
Look, through the bush we can just make out Tundi crossing into Torchwood. Now there's some impala just to my left. So I think there might be, oh no, she might come up towards, oh no, she's heading further, almost straight west. But this impala herd, do you still see it, Brian? Oh, well done, Brian. Great camera work. Okay, so I'm trying to decide now. I just want to watch the other vehicles. If she comes around, we might be in a good spot sitting here. Morning, morning. How are you this morning before? Cold. Can't you met? I think Karula went south, eh? There's no tracks coming north. Nisi Kosha. Sorry guys, I'm just having a quick chat. Has no one gone to Cheetah Plains? I think I might go there if no one's there. Morning, morning. Nkomas and one Birmingham are still Bavuzuk boundary. Come on. Yeah. Okay, enjoy. Okay, so guys, as we said, Tundi, we just got the most brief of brief visuals, and I'm trying to think now. I can't see where the vehicles are going, but the impala I was talking about, that she was jogging because of, there could be more lower down, are just opposite us. So there we go, you can see the herd of impala there through the bush. But I think we're going to continue on. There you go. She's carried on north, so maybe she's seen other impala that we can't see. We're gonna, I think since we're here, we might as well go check Cheetah Plains. It sounds like no one is there, and there's a lack of water around, so maybe Mr. Q's come back to 3 in a row pan, or maybe we'll get lucky with Nkanyini. But I am gonna lose signal as I dip through here. So unfortunately, oh wait. Sorry, I just heard something. One of the impala started looking quite alert, but no. I can hear where the vehicles are following her. So we're going to leave. I said we're going to head towards Cheetah Plains, but Jamie has got the only animal out here that can compete with Brian and myself's mains. So let's go see what it is.
And Chandra. Chandra also has a mane. We have a wonderful surprise for you this morning, and he's actually calling. So I'm just going to be quiet for one moment. Just to see if he does it again. It was one of those half-hearted, exhausted kind of noises. Oh no, not that way, boy. Okay, life's about to get a bit tricky. I don't know that we're going to be able to follow him. Hopefully he decides to lie down. Who have we got here? Right, if this is your first time on our live safari, as we know it is for at least one person, this is one of the dominant males of the area, a Birmingham boy, and he's about to make my life incredibly difficult by going into the, or off the road. I'm hoping he's going to keep on south. How's your view? Okay. I would like to be able to call this in. Unfortunately, the other guys are busy chatting about other things, just because I think I'm going to need some help to keep up with him as he goes into the block between Gowrie Cutline and Mvubu Road. Stations 1 Madonangala Mobile to the west from Gowrie Cutline towards Mvubu Road. Oh, I got a full whiff of that smell. You saw he urinated on the bush there. Scent marking. And the smell, the wind's blowing it straight towards us. So we got a very clear smell of fresh lion urine. Okay, let's give this a go. I cannot guarantee that we are going to be able to stay with him, just because in Maggie, the makeshift Mahindra, everything's slightly more difficult. So let us try. Here's a good way in. I'm not even sure that's a good way in. But we're going to try it. Come on, Maggie. Show us what you can do. Sort of brings us back to Gary's point from the start of the sunrise safari. Oh, everybody watch heads. And eyes and all extremities. I want to try and stay with him because I think the other lions are somewhere in this block. And I think he's going to go and try and meet up with them. Where to next? This way. Everybody look out for good places for us to drive. Watch heads. You go, Maggie. Show us what you could do, Maggie. Well done, Maggie. Oh, he's doing a bit of yoga. That long-limbed cat stretch. He is still on the move. And guys, I do apologize for the open game drive comms. Obviously with Maggie the makeshift Mahindra, we have to be constantly listening to the game drive channel in order to be able to make sure we don't miss any exciting updates. Usually that conversation is happening in our ears, but we can't do that on Maggie. Right, we better not let him get too far ahead of us, we're going to wind up with a problem. Joey is wondering about our olfactory update for the morning, having just smelt our lion's fresh urine smell, and we're about to smell it again here because he did mark this apple leaf. Come on, Maggie, come on, Maggie, come on, Maggie. Yay. Okay, can we do this? Yes, we can. Of course we can. We're going to get covered in lion spray. Ugh, gross. Sorry, Gendre. We're going to smell like lion for the rest of the day. So Joey, not Maggie, sorry, that's the Mahindra. Joey, lion urine smells a bit like very strong cat urine. Very, very pungent. But is it true that leopard urine smells like butter popcorn? Yes, apparently to everybody but me. So I don't smell it, personally. I don't, somehow there's something in my brain that doesn't interpret the smell that way. Oh, he's getting very far ahead of us. Come on, Maggie. I don't smell it that way. I smell it as just urine. Everybody duck. Oh, there's a lot of stumps here. Come on, Maggie. You can do it, Maggie. Need to up the pace a bit or we're going to lose him. Oh no. Oh no. Round we go. Are we going to make this, Chandra, with the antenna? Well done. Joey, I think leopard urine smells like cat urine, but apparently to everybody else in the great wide world, it smells to them like buttered popcorn. I don't know what it is about my brain that doesn't interpret that smell that way, but such as it is, I don't feel that it is. That's the way it smells. Oh, good. Oh no. Oh no, not the monkey orange thicket. We can't. We can't. Pardon?
Hint of paprika.
Ah, hint of paprika. That Gendre smells. Goodness, that's very specific, Gendre. I'm not sure I would agree with Gendre, but he may well be correct. My sense of smell, especially this morning, suffering a little bit from the dust. I could barely smell everything. Where are you going, boy? Okay, guys, just a quick update for new viewers. As we drive through the trees, everybody duck. No, we can't lose him. We can't lose him. We have to go around. As we drive through the trees, just to let you know, we pick the tree species that it is okay to drive over. They are young saplings that spring back up, or they are invasive tree species that are bush encroachers. Not bush encroachers. Ah! Attack! Attack from every side! Attack! Dodge, Andre. Oh no. Oh no. He's going to pop out on Mvubu Road now, and I'm going to feel very silly. Side mirrors are very silly. Okay, Brent is up and running on Cheetah Plains. I need to concentrate, obviously, because things are a bit tricky right now, so let's go over to him.
Maggie Mahindra is not the most maneuverable vehicle in our fleet. So let's let Jamie concentrate. We've now made our way, let me just turn that down, to Cheetah Plains, and I'm hoping for quarantine, and I'm also hoping for cheetah. So we're just going to go very, very slowly, have a look what's happening down here, and I'm always very excited when I learn that we are the only car on the whole of Cheetah Plains, and that we are this morning. So very exciting. We have the whole wilderness area of Cheetah Plains to ourselves, and hopefully it won't disappoint. It definitely hasn't been disappointing in the last few days. We've had some fantastic sightings here. Let's have a quick look at the road junction for trucks. Oh, a very warm SafariLIVE welcome to Yankee Girl, who's a new viewer. Welcome to the family. Yankee Girl would like to know, do we get meerkats in the reserve? Unfortunately not. Meerkats are, sorry, I'm just checking that tree. Thought I saw it. Very solid shape in the middle of it. That big tree right at the back there, Brian. Let's have a look with the camera. Now, it always pays to double check these things. I don't think it's anything, but you never know, there might be a leopard hiding. But in this case, I'm afraid not. But meerkats live in the more arid areas of South Africa, so they're more of a desert and semi-desert species. What we are in is mixed woodland and grassland. So the closest meerkat here is a couple of 100 kilometers away. But we have two different species that fill a similar ecological niche in this ecosystem, and that are mongooses, which are related to meerkats, of course, very distantly, and it's the dwarf mongoose and the banded mongoose are the two mongoose species that fulfill the same sort of ecological niche to the meerkat out here in the low veld of South Africa. Okay, so no sign of any tracks yet, but we are in the middle of a drought, so we are going to check the water holes first. And there's a bit of cloud cover moving in from the east. Now, my favorite sport is a sport called rugby. And some of you might know what it is, some of you might not. So, oh, beautiful big herd of impala. Last night, I was watching some rugby that was being played on the east coast of South Africa, and there was a lot of rain. So this could be the tail of that cold front that's coming through. Hello, little boy. You can see that's a little male. With impala, only the males have horns. And can you believe he was born probably sometime between November and January. And so he's not even a year old. And there's a little female of about the same age, that one there, and just to her left is an adult female. And you can see they're all very, very puffed up and reddish this morning, and that's very common with all the animals out here when it's a very cold morning. They puff up their skin, they catch a layer of air between their fur and their skin. Oh, spasm. That was quite funny. Yes, I'm sure we can all relate to that. As you get out in the morning and you've got a funny limb or whatnot, and just kick it, loosen it up. There we go, you can see the difference between an adult female and a young female there perfectly. And as I was saying, that raised fur catches a sort of a layer of air between their skin and the hair follicles, and it creates a sort of insulative blanket for them. incredibly alert animals, impala. You have to be. I mean, lots of different things eat you. They're eaten by lion, leopard, wild dog, cheetah, hyena. So it pays to keep your eyes and ears open. Okay, well, let's keep moving. Let the impalas have their breakfast. Now, a very good morning to Karen. And Karen is wondering, do we ever burn the grass in seasons like this, like they do in the Serengeti, to produce more fresh grass? Now, we're a very different ecosystem from the Serengeti, but in the larger sense, yes, we do burn. Karen, this year we will not burn. Firstly, if we burnt, there would be almost no food for the animals. And secondly, we would battle to burn because there's no grass to burn. In this drought, you need grass to burn. Now, the majority of Africa, outside the true desert areas, and sorry, I'm just checking tracks here, Karen. Outside the true desert areas and the tropical rainforests, Africa is a fire climax biome. And what that means is it actually needs fire. Certain areas need more fire than others, and the Serengeti is one of those. Now, we only have one rainy season a year. The Serengeti has two. So they have the big rains and the small rains, and we only have the one rains. We're a far more arid area than the Serengeti, but in a year like this, there's no grass to actually burn. But what burning does is it stimulates the majority of the grass species to actually grow. So the growing points for grass are actually under the ground. So driving over grass and all that, you don't actually damage any of the growing points. Now, and let's just check, sorry, I just want to make sure we don't miss any tracks at the junctions. Now, as I was saying, so the other thing it does, it removes a lot of dead branches, leaf litter, anything that might impede the grass from coming up. It also adds a lot of nitrates to the soil and helps refertilize the soil. So a lot of carbon's put back. So fire is a very, very important thing in Africa. And for many hundreds of thousands of years, fire was controlled at complete random by a strike of lightning or something like that. But as man mastered fire, with our superior brain size, we noticed that after a lightning strike and the grass was burnt and you get a little bit of dew or a bit of rain, suddenly you have this great green flush and it brings a lot of animals onto it. So, and then from then, once man sort of realized that, or our early ancestors realized that, fire became a very important tool in the shaping of Africa. And people have shaped a lot of the open areas and plains of Africa and even areas like this with fire for easily 200, 300,000 years. So a lot of times, a lot of people think we are removed from the ecosystem, but we are and have been an integral part, but I suppose on evolutionary terms, not very much so. It's a very short sort of split second in the history of the Earth being 4.2 billion years old. But so we have had an effect on the landscape. Now, there's very few animals that can affect the landscape. We are one, and buffalo and elephant are the other two that are great changes of landscape in this ecosystem. In other ecosystems, you have other species that will make a big change on the ecosystem, and those are hippopotamuses, but those are in big swampy areas like the Okavango Delta, Sud, which is a large swamp on the Nile River in Sudan. Hippos keep channels open, they stop a papyrus from clogging, they keep the water flowing. So those are the sort of main species that can completely change an ecosystem. And some of the predators, especially your big predators like lions, are also one of those species. Now, don't really have a good example of it in Africa, but in North America, there's an absolutely amazing example of it in Yellowstone National Park. is the reintroduction of wolves completely changed the ecosystem, because the elk on the top of those seep lines and little beginnings of streams used to lie in there and basically stop the flow of water getting down to the bigger areas. But with the reintroduction of wolves, that kept the elk moving and whatnot, and actually started causing the rivers to flow again. So you never know, if you take any species out of an ecosystem, it could have a massive effect on the greater system. Now, this is the only water around for quite some way. That's why we're checking around here. This is 3 in a row pan. So far I don't have any tracks. Oh, the only resident of 3 in a row pan at the moment, has taken off. Was a blacksmith lapwing. There's another one on that side there. Oh, it's going to land that side as well. And these are birds that are associated with water. A little bit to the right, right? There's one in the open. To the right slightly. Just keep same angle, just pan right. And stop. There we go. There you go, a little blacksmith lapwing. Now, certain lapwings, we find them quite often in the open grasslands, but this particular lapwing will almost always be found around water. So a little pair of them here, and they'll be pretty much resident in this area. Now, they get their name from the sound they make. It sounds like a blacksmith hammer tinking on metal. They're not really making too much noise at the moment. They're searching around for a snack. Oh, what's in front there? A Cape turtle dove as well. Get that dust out of the air. Oh, off goes. There we go. Dink, dink. Oh, looks like that's a better area to look for a meal. There we go. So I'll let the blacksmith lapwing continue its search for morsels on the short grass area around 3 in a row pan. Christy's wondering, what is the chances of us seeing a female cheetah? Well, as good as any. I have found female cheetah tracks a few times. Now, a female cheetah will have a far more massive home range. They don't really have a set territory like the males, and they'll move in that area. The only time they really become stationary in an area for a long time is when they have cubs. Now, cheetah are very, very interesting in terms of big cats. Is the fact that they are the only cat species that needs a male population bias to breed. Now, when I say a male population bias, it needs to be more males than females for them to successfully breed, and a female cheetah will often pass up 3 to 4 male coalitions before choosing one to mate with. So having multiple male coalitions in the area she wanders actually stimulates her ovulation. That's one of the problems with cheetah and why they are an endangered species. There are quite a lot of problems, but that is just one of the many. And so every other cat needs a female dominant bias. So you'll have a male leopard and you'll have multiple females within his territory. And lions will be the same, will be a coalition of males and multiple female prides, but with cheetah, it's the opposite, and it's the only big cat that operates like that. So the female cheetah might be around. I have seen one since I've been here, but I was out on the tracking team, and she was obviously coming from the Kruger, somewhere where she hasn't seen cars, and she skedaddled at a rate of knots at the first sign of a vehicle. But who knows, maybe our luck is on, and when we move towards the open plains, we might get lucky enough to see one. So while we make our way towards those said open plains, let's go see what Jamie's been up to.
Jamie's been attempting to relocate those lions for you. Oh, by the way, there were two. There was a lady with him, or at least a lady walking ahead of him, hence his determined stride in the direction that he was heading. And we just caught a very brief glimpse of her before both of them went where no Mahindra has dared to follow or will dare to follow under my watch. I just couldn't begin to think about coaxing poor Maggie through the patches of strychnos that we were about to encounter. So unfortunately, we had to leave our lions. And I've been sitting sort of roughly in the direction that they were walking in the hope that alarm calls might... Oh, goodness, sorry, Jeandre, I nearly threw you off the back there. I was hoping that we might be able to hear some alarm calls, maybe start moving in that direction. But so far all is quiet, and that's because this block is so incredibly thick that I don't think they would be visible unless they were right on top of something. Unless they have a kill in there, in which case it might be worth heading further in. And just bear with me one moment, Mike would like to chat to me. I'm sure he's interested in these lions, and of course I have to be the bearer of bad news. Standing by, Mike.
Morning, Jamie. I'm just heading towards Wilbur Road. Is that a correct direction if I want to boogie these in Gala?
It's affirmative, Mike. You can take Wilbur Road and then turn east into that block and see if you can find them, because I'm sorry, I've lost them.
Okay, copy that. Alright, I'll head that way. Thank you, Jamie.
Okay. He's telling Mike that unfortunately this particular, what we call a block, it's the patch of bush between four roads, this particular one is renowned for being incredibly difficult to follow up upon. And we're just going to gently and quietly, not so quietly, do another loop of the area, see if maybe they've popped out. Now, we might not have the lions, but issuing forth from my vocal cords every now and again was turning this vehicle occasionally results in almost a lion impression, sort of that as you try and turn the steering wheel. And Natasha thinks that that was Blondie. I will take your word for it, absolutely. I barely had a chance to look at him. I was concentrating on not, as Brent termed it, wrapping ourselves round a tree. So I will absolutely take your word for it, Natasha. I don't know who the female was, because all I saw of her was her retreating tail into the nightmare forest of strychnos that is in the middle of this block. Oh, and I've still got a sort of pervading sense of smell that is wafting lion urine in our direction. I don't know if you're getting that, Jeandre. Yeah, no, we definitely now, Maggie the Mahindra now smells a little bit like lion territorial urine spray, which is most pleasant. Gently wafting in our direction, and there's no getting away from it because the front bumper hit it first. So unless I do the entire drive in reverse, we are going to be surrounded by this smell. Okay, no tracks coming out. No lions coming out. They might have just decided to lie down, as lions do. When they get tired of walking in one direction, they lie down for a while and then they get up and carry on. Now, we're not giving up hope just yet. The alternative, of course, is that they've got a kill. Apparently, we were speaking to Taxon. You were with us when we were speaking to Taxon about the fact that they were seen in that area last night. And it's a perfect hunting area. It's exactly where those Nkuhuma lionesses lost their buffalo kill to the hyenas in the middle of June. And that's exactly where they are. And I wonder whether or not they haven't managed to catch another buffalo. There were buffalo in there when we were driving through. They could also be a courting pair. There's certainly been a great deal of that over the last 2 weeks. Melanie, how does the male pick which female to mate with? It's pure proximity, essentially. So if there is a lioness in estrus, the one closest to him gets mated with. And she often does a lot of the work. She'll do the approaching, she'll do the courting. So it's not so much a decision as the decision is made for them. Okay, just trying to think about what we're going to do. I'm thinking perhaps it might be worth moving into the block where we made a road. That might be the next step if they haven't popped out. I just want to speak to Mike quickly. I want to find out what his route is. Mike, what's your route from Mvubu Road? Oh no, that's not what I meant to ask him at all.
I'm still on Buffelshoek cut line, but yeah, turning from Buffelshoek, the cut line into Mvubu, and then I don't know. I was just thinking of driving the road and seeing if I can find any on Gonzo.
Okay, copy, perfect. I'll just keep checking the fire break. They might have popped out north there. It doesn't look. I'm on Mvubu Road now. It doesn't look like they've come out here.
Moment it sounds very fresh. Ngala looks like one my daughter Gonzo from Ring West on Gary Plains.
Okay, I'm going to try and puzzle out what was just said. I think we might be in the wrong direction here. So while I work out, there we go. Trying to work out how he found lion tracks on Gowrie Bay. So while Mike and I have a discussion, let's find out how Cheetah Plains is going.
Now I hope you guys are ready to help me solve a puzzle, because this is a serious puzzle we've got going on here at the moment. Now, there are lion tracks all over the place. There's leopard tracks and there's cheetah tracks. Now the cheetah tracks are a bit old. I think they're from a day or two ago and they've been driven over. The leopard tracks, early last night. The lion tracks are from this morning. But I've got them going in 3 different directions. Now, here's a beautiful one. You can see how crisp and clear they are. Now, I had tracks over there, and I think they've been hunting, and then they've been separated. Can you get these, Brian? And then here has been a joyous jumping and a joining up of prides, and you can, or of lionesses. You can see skids, jumps, some more jumps, and you can see where it lands. You can't see how clear the track is here. So there's quite a lot going on. So just bear with me while we try to figure out the puzzle. There's tracks going this way. There's tracks jumping this way. There's another track over here. So have a quick look. Hopefully the bushes don't growl. Actually, hopefully they do, because then we found the lions. Very interesting. Okay, we've ruled out this road. So they were playing around here. So now it's going to be, make sure they haven't gone this way. So we've got one set of tracks coming straight down the road here. There's another set of tracks coming the opposite direction. Okay. So we've ruled out this way. They've only come from this way. 1, 2, at least 2. Now I'm trying to look to see if there are any cub tracks, because this is probably the Styx pride. But because of the drought and our close proximity to Kruger, it could be a new pride. Very much a conundrum going here. So here we go. We're going to turn the car around so we can keep working this puzzle out together. Very interesting. like a good puzzle on a Sunday morning, you know. This is my version of the Sunday morning paper. So when you guys get the Sunday morning paper, you go, some of you I'm sure will go straight to the crossword or what are the games in the Sunday morning paper? My Sunday morning paper is trying to work out where the lines went. Okay. Now, let's think. Let's just double check along here. Melanie's wondering, how long do the cat tracks normally stay visible in the sand? Now, it completely depends on how many cars or elephants or whatnot drive. Okay, we've got a track here of 1, and she's gone. Now, in this very dry climate, if we don't have any windy days, they can last a week. If they step in some thick mud, they can last months. But normally it's a day or two. So if we get wind or a herd of elephants or a herd of buffalo, obliterate all the tracks. Yeah, we got one back. There definitely was a joyous reconnection of lionesses at that junction, although we're just playing. But just from the way we've got tracks coming from multiple directions, I think they tried to chase something and they failed. And there was happiness at finding each other. So what happens here is we try to make sure we've cut off all the other avenues, make sure we're going to go start looking in the right place. So I know it was here, yes, this is where the old cheetah tracks are, so I know there's no lion tracks on this road. I've already walked and checked around here, and this is where the leopard tracks also go. Or was it the road before this? I think it could have been the road before this, Brian. No, yeah, my boot marks this road. Okay. And so we've cut off north. I'm not 100% sure. They could have walked off on that hard ground into there, but at the moment it looks most likely that they've sort of gone southeast. Now for me, this beats any crossword puzzle in the world. Okay, so I'm just going to go very slowly. And my head is going to be off the vehicle because I want to make sure when we see there's buffalo tracks here, maybe that's what they tried to hunt. Okay, we're just going to make very, very sure that we don't miss a track through here. Where have you gone to? Now, I've done this before and fiddled around and looked around, and then after about 10 minutes looked up, and there's been a whole pride of lions sort of going, what's he doing? We're right here. See, the problem is if they cross on the hard ground, Shamsung wants to know, are we far from where we saw all the lioness yesterday night? Yes, we're very far. This will be a different pride. Okay. Some elephant, some more elephant. It almost looks like they've just disappeared into between these three roads. Okay. There's a track coming this way, so I'm just gonna reverse like this so you guys can see and you can hear me while I'm going to have a closer look at the puzzle. Oh no, oh, then the puzzle changes. Wow. Here is a lioness at full speed. You can see how much bigger the footprint is, and you can see it's very indistinct because she's gone like that, sort of boom. Could be playing. Going that way, going that way. Let's see if they're not sitting on their paws watching me. Okay. Brian, let me know if I go too far. Okay, so it looks like I've got a good general direction now. I'm just going to look quickly on this big path here. Okay, we've got a good general direction. So the first part of the puzzle is over. Now let's get on to the second. I think there's at least 3 lionesses here from the tracks I can see. And, oh, someone's on his way. I just want to have a quick word. Just because if he's come from that side, he might have seen tracks there. Oh, hey! Got it. So looks like they came and they met here and they rallied, but they go down this path going straight south. Looks like 3. Did you come around this side? Okay, I'm going to go back down towards CP Open. Perfect. So Andries is going to give us a hand now. He's going to go check down Pipeline Road this way. We're going to go around this way. So we're pretty certain they're in this block here. So very exciting. And you know what? It's always nice to have a friend to help you with the puzzle. And that's what Andries and his tracker are going to do. Ooh, where's my ears gone? Ooh. I don't know how I managed to get them in the strangest places, my earpieces. Wouldn't this be exciting if it's a new Pride? And I said we're probably only about 1 kilometer from Kruger, and with the drought, it might bring lions in because there's no water there, and all the animals, the zebras and buffalo, are going to start moving towards the water. So hopefully we can find these lions, and I think it'd be wonderful if they're a new Pride. But while we continue to search, let's go see what Jamie's up to, bashing and crashing around on Djuma.
Trying not to bash and crash on Djuma, but it is relatively difficult to do in this particular block. And actually, you found me, I'm sort of stuck. I've kept going until I actually can't go any further. I followed my old tracks in to where we had that kill not so long ago, a couple of weeks ago, into this thicket of strychnos. All I've heard for now is one slightly angry elephant trumpeting in the distance, maybe at lions, but I honestly don't know. And otherwise, all is absolutely quiet here. But that being said, a lion could be lying 20 meters away from me in this particular patch, and I would have absolutely no idea that it was here. I mean, some of the patches here are so thick you wouldn't be able to see your own hand in front of your face. And I remember distinctly being very nervous when Dave lost his pillow. No, when Dave lost Brian's pillow off the back of the vehicle during that sighting, and we had to try and rescue it before the hyenas took it back to their den site for a little bit of cushioning. I give up, I think, for now. I can't go driving any further. I've taken the road that I made before. I'm not going to go pushing in without knowing where they are, so you have to accompany me as we go back again, because I don't think there's any forward alternative. Actually, I'm not entirely sure I can go back. There is actually no alternative. I don't know how we're going to get out of this. I've got a little bit too enthusiastic in my off-roading, and we may never actually see the road ever again. Genre, we may be stuck here for the rest of our lives. So while we try and make our way out of this situation, let's go back to Brent and his search for the lions.
So I'm very confident that they came this way. Now, the ground's a bit harder here. So it's like the extra long part of the crossword puzzle. So the sort of 20-letter word or 12-letter word. So I'm going to have to go a little bit slower because the ground's a bit harder. Make sure we don't miss a clue. Now, there is a possibility they might have killed something inside here. I saw zebra tracks running zebra tracks coming out. So I'm just going to go very slowly. As you can see, the ground's quite hard here compared to where we were earlier. So if my head is hung over the side, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's because I want to find you some lines and figure out my Sunday morning crossword puzzle. Shamsun is wondering, would another part of Lions fight the resident prides of Lions for territory? And would the Birmingham boys help defend them? It's a very interesting question there, Shamsun. So I think they would definitely fight for territory if they came across the sticks. But the Birmingham boys might see this as an opportunity to gather another pride of females into their harem. So it'd be a very interesting thing to say, and it could go either way. Good. No farmer back there and then farmer now. I'll see you that side. So there we go. That's the plan. We're going to head back to where we had those tracks and we're going to go for a walk. We are going to keep checking. They could be on the move, so that's why Andries, who's helping me work out the puzzle, has gone that way and we're going to go this way. So those tracks were heading into the center of this block. And sorry, Shamsun, back there. So I said it's a very difficult thing. They might fight with those lionesses, but not for the reason to keep them out of the sort of sticks territory or anything like that. The reason they might fight with them is to try subjugate them to the Birmingham rule. Tracks are crossing here. I'm just going to have a quick look. There's one track right next to me. I just want to make sure that there's more than one here and that they haven't split. One lioness crosses there. Oh, here we go. They're starting the conundrum again. There's a track going that way, there's a track going that way. So I wanted to check a little bit further up the road. Now, the reason there could be one track there and maybe another track over there is they could have been hunting. Here we go. There's the second line S, and it's a running track. So, we've solved the second part of the riddle and where they're going. Now they're heading towards that big open area on Cheetah Plain. Wouldn't it be spectacular to have lions out on that massive open area? Andries? Yeah, Andries, I've got Nkonzo heading south towards CP Open. I'm going to head that way. Hi, Melanie. Melanie would like to know how many lions are generally in a pride. Now, it all depends, Melanie. You'll probably find during this drought that the lion prides are going to increase their size. But in the Greater Kruger Park, the average pride size is between 4 and 10 in this area, but and that's adult females, we're not counting cubs, and it can go up to anything. The old mountain pride back in my Kruger Park days was a massive pride. There were, I think there were 19 or 20 adult females. With cubs and males, they actually went over 40. So, but when a pride gets that big, it's very hard to catch enough to feed all of them. So what normally happens, they form splinter prides off that main pride, and then again down to that 4 to 10 individuals. Okay, so concentration again. Hi, Miss. Miss would like to know how big on average a lion territory is. Again, it's something that completely depends on the area. In the Greater Kruger, in this particular area of the Greater Kruger, normally between 5 and 7,000 hectares. Acres times that by 2.2, which would make it, let's just do 11,000 to sort of about 15,000 acres. Yeah, we got some impalalas looking quite relaxed over here. And there's and Gnormless Gnorm in the canoe. I haven't seen him yet since I've been back from leave. He's been visiting other places. I'll show you now. I'm just gonna try make sure there's not a lion sleeping out in this open area. Now, unfortunately, we are heading towards our southern boundary, and I'm really hoping that those lions haven't pushed all the way through. Okay, well, we're just going to go up here and give you a quick look at Gnormless Gnorman. Also double check to make sure Gnormless Gnorman hasn't been deposed while I've been on leave, and there's a new wildebeest on this open area. And he's also standing on a big animal path I wanted to check. There's Gnormless. No, it is definitely Gnormless. So, Gnormless enjoying his breakfast of short grass. Now, I am going to go try solve the next part of our puzzle. And while I do that, Jamie has managed to find a slightly easier track to drive on.
I've definitely managed to find an easier track to drive on in that I found the road. But I think Brent's description of this being the equivalent of his Sunday morning crossword puzzle is probably one of the best ways that I could describe what we do. We're sort of going out playing one massive treasure hunt. while we search for evidence. And our next clue was actually spotted by Jean-Andre, who is scouting in a very incredible way, considering he's got to be the cameraman as well. I'm just going to fix my hat. It's been knocked askew by the the bumping along that we've done off-road. I'm not looking at you guys right now, and that's because Jean-Andre found us the freshest track, and we can still smell them, but I think that's Maggie we're smelling. The freshest track heading in this direction. But we know that they're here. It's just such a tricky area to find them in. And we're probably going to not give up for now. We're probably going to leave the area for now and then return back towards the end of the sunrise safari, because I'm not sure that we're going to have any luck. I think that they've gone completely flat, hidden somewhere just behind the trees. I mean, they could be right here and we're missing them totally. But Jean-Andre did find a very perfectly fresh track heading in this direction. And they haven't, as far as we can tell. There's been about 3 vehicles up and down while we've been searching in there. They haven't, as far as we can tell, crossed this road. So, well, I think it's time for us to... I don't think they would have come this far north. I think it's maybe time for us to leave the area, see what else we can find, particularly if Brent is on a search for lions as well. We can leave him to see if he can't solve that puzzle, and at least we got to see the male, albeit very briefly, if he moved off in search of better prospects. And we'll do one last check along the fire break, and then we will carry on and head towards Buffelshoek Dam and Inyala Road drainage lines to see if there's any sign of the cubs, which of course... Thank you. Excuse me. Which of course would be absolutely wonderful. Sorry. This morning, for some reason, with all of the dust and the leaves and everything, since we've been driving off-road, it's made me sneeze terribly. Okay. Sounds as though Tax has had the same idea. He's also double-checking the area for any leopard cubs that might... No, sorry, lion cubs or leopard cubs that might be around. They do love this block at the moment. Our lions. In fact, I would say that 80% of our sightings in the last 2 weeks have been in this general area. Around Bubu Road, Voyatella Dam and Gari Cut Line. Even the lioness with the cubs was not far from here. While we search along, Red Dog has got a question about how often we see feral dogs or feral cats on the reserve, and the answer is hardly ever. Since the incident with Sindile and the feral dog that managed to find its way onto Djuma and onto Voyatella, I haven't seen a single one. That is the second time I've ever found a feral dog in this area. So it's actually quite unusual for us to see them. They do get in. Most of them get eaten before we even realize that they're around. And the same goes for feral cats. I haven't seen any feral cats. They're not as common in the villages and the township areas as the stray dogs are. But there's a number of programs geared towards sterilizing the stray dogs and cats of those areas, and also obviously inoculating them against any kind or any form of disease that they might carry and be able to pass on to the local wildlife, because they are a tremendous threat to both in terms of inbreeding, particularly with cats and wild cats, and then also in terms of their impact in being vectors of disease that the animals here might not have any kind of immunity to. You got a track there. I think Chandra has just picked up on a track. The problem with this here now is that they have been up and down this area so often. One coming in.
To Lion Tree Road.
Got tracks going in on this side. This is such an awkward area. Now, Melanie, while we are looking for our lions, you wanted to know, and Melanie is a new viewer from New Zealand, so she's unfamiliar with the... Oof, that's a pleasant sound. I think let's carry on. Oh, goodness. Melanie wants to know how we can get so close to the big cats without being attacked by them. Melanie, the truth is that there isn't really an animal out here that wants to attack people, first of all. And we are most definitely, unless it's very, very unusual circumstances, just waving to Ephraim, unless it's very unusual circumstances, we are not on their menu. And we are particularly not on their menu when we are driving around in safari vehicles. Now, they feel comfortable with our presence because people many, many years ago put a great deal of effort and time and effort into habituating them to the presence of vehicles. And the way that they do that with the big cats is to put up a kill or to chain it to a tree or something similar so that it can't be dragged away, and then park 100 meters away or 100 feet away and put the radio on or something similar, and get the animals slowly used to the idea of the presence of vehicle and the presence of people. But now we're talking decades ago that this process played out, and now we've got generations and generations of animals that have from birth been accustomed to the presence of vehicles as part of their everyday life. We are as much of a reality to them as the rocks and the trees and the termite mounds. And in fact, one of them, the lioness that, well, the male lion and the lioness that we saw a couple of days ago even used our vehicle in the way she might have tried to use a termite mound to hide behind and avoid the attention of the male and try and sneak around him. Basically playing a game of peekaboo on either side. It was the most incredible experience. It's the first time I've ever had a lion use my vehicle to that extent. And there's lots of stories of them using vehicles to hide behind when they're hunting. Now, it's not that we don't have an impact on their lives. We do, in that obviously there's a level of interaction. The vehicles make a noise, we talk around them, but it doesn't bother them in any way. It doesn't change their natural behavior because they've been raised since birth to experience that. We are going to go through a bit of a signal dip here, and there's nothing I can do about it. We're sort of in the middle of two signal dips. Now let us see if we can't find these lions. Last chance, lions, for you to pop out. I think we've moved a little bit further to the east. It's going to be very, very tricky. And I'm just checking every single game path and so on for tracks. Also, we cannot go any further or the signal will disappear. We're going straight towards the dip of the famous black hole area of Gowrie Cutline. And what it gives us an opportunity to do, I suppose, is to have a look at the strychnos that's in front of us, which is tricky for Jandre, but this is the tree that made our lives very, very difficult in this particular patch of bush. They are a bush encroacher species which grow when areas have been overutilized or overgrazed, and of course this area wasn't always a conservation area, although we're incredibly fortunate that it is now. With its very dense, and it's got what is known as spines rather than thorns. So the spines are what actually create that sound as we drive through them and over them, and they're actually quite toxic plants. Maybe a couple of months ago, Eugene came to rescue us in the Mahindra from getting stuck in an aardvark hole, and one of the branches flicked up and caught him on the arm and scratched his arm, quite a small scratch, nothing serious, and he ended up with a very, very uncomfortable secondary infection. So they're not easy. And strychnos, the name strychnos, comes from the strychnine, or that's where the name strychnine comes from, is from the strychnos plant, one of the cousins of our strychnos, where they derive the poison from. and strychnine poison. Okay, as we go through the signal black hole, let's find out how Brent's line search is going.
Alas, we finished our crossword, and unfortunately it's not the happiest of endings. So I'm on the Mala boundary, the southern boundary of Cheetah Plains, and I've just had a chat to Andrews. He thinks this is because the Styx Pride have been found further to the west of us. So this is definitely a new pride. I think we have seen them once before. They're called the Four Ways Pride, and when we saw them was that really long distance visual from the Cheetah Plains boundary when they were lying there. It was a male and a female, I think, or two females that we saw for a day or two on those big open plains. But here we go. Let me get the right side. There we go. There's one lioness. And where was the second lioness? Second lioness crossed here, just a little bit further along. Second lioness crossed here, and then the third lioness crossed here. Oh dear. Well, at least we've finished the one crossword. So time to go look for another crossword to figure out. And I think we're going to go have a little gander down the Mala boundary. Now, Quarantine crossed probably about 1.5 kilometers from here. So fingers crossed he decided to make his way back on to Cheetah Plains. So let's see if we can figure out the next crossword puzzle. And hopefully, well, we finished this crossword, but we didn't finish it in time. So we didn't win the grand prize. So hopefully the next crossword puzzle we take upon, we'll finish the grand prize. But anyway, nice to know that we actually finished the crossword for as much as we could on this Sunday morning. So I've finished with the first section of the Sunday morning papers. Let's go look for the next. I did hear some elephants up ahead. They sounded like they were in the south. Good morning, Eric in Pittsburgh. And Eric is wondering what has been my favorite sighting since I started driving on Cheetah Plains. Well, Eric, I would have to say it's going to be a leopard sighting. And there are two that stick out for me. Three actually. And two involving Kanyini. First was when we saw her cubs and she was moving across the Kalkor Open, and this ray of light came out of the sky and shone upon her. That was definitely one of my favorite sightings. And then the second would be also with Nkanyini when we were following her and she started stalking impala and she lay flat on that red road in the soil. That was with Brian. And then the third, was a bit difficult one, but I think it's probably Shivambalan and Quarantine having their little spat and being chased by a buffalo, and that was 2 days ago. But then, of course, outside of the big cats, one cannot forget the first ever live sighting of a pangolin. And that was also on Cheetah Plains. So I think those are my top ones. I've had some nice lion sightings. I think it's spectacular. I'd say those are definitely my favorites. Now, Brian and I were just chatting. I mean, we've had nice cheetah sightings here, but I haven't had a word that has been banned in our camp unless you use it correctly. I haven't had an epic cheetah sighting, sort of climbing up fallen marulas, scent marking, or chasing something. So that is still in the pipeline, of course. I have no doubt that the killer bees will have one of those sightings in the near future. Okay. My last sip of my tea. It's warmed up quite nicely. Hello, suspicious primate. Suspicious primate would like to know what type of tea I'm drinking. Did you see it, Brian? At the top of this little... Oh, is he he's flown, don't worry. It was a little Battis. See if we can spot him in the next tree. But suspicious primate's wondering what type of tea am I drinking? Is it made from local plants? Now, the only time I drink a tea that is made from local plants is when I'm getting a cold or a flu. Then I will harvest a plant called Lipia javanica. Now, Lipia javanica is also known as Bushman's fever tea or wild mint. It smells very minty, of course, and you use that with honey, and it is a really good preventative as soon as you start feeling a little bit cold or flu-y. But other than that, no, I'm afraid my tea this morning is quite boring. Earl Grey, been around for a while. I'm not actually sure of the origins of Earl Grey tea, but where James and I used to work, there used to be a butler, and he had a bit of problems with the pronunciation of Earl Grey, so it was known to us for many years and still quite often called by us, instead of Earl Grey, it's called Early Grey. You only have Early Grey in the morning. So old December thought that it was Early Grey, and it doesn't matter how many times we tried to tell him it was Earl Grey, it was never going to be Earl Grey, it was only going to be Early Grey. There we go, that's Final Control doing a little bit of research for me. Earl Grey was apparently named after a guy called Charles Grey, and maybe he came up with the blend, but the Earl Grey was the second Prime Minister in the 1800s, I think I heard that correct. 1830s, there we go. Hey, see, that's the wonderful thing, that's a new knowledge for me, but that's the wonderful thing about being out here, you do learn constantly. And we're going to continue heading towards the western sections of Cheetah Plains. While we do that, let's go see how Jamie's faring on Djuma.
We are right in the middle of Djuma, on Central Road to be exact, and as Central Road suggests, it is in the centre. I hear that Brent's been discussing his morning tea. I don't know whether or not he realises, because I know, because I made him his tea, that it wasn't in fact Earl Grey at all. I'm not sure whether his refined tea taste buds have picked up on that fact or not, but there definitely wasn't any Earl Grey in there. That was solid, good quality South African blend, normal tea, black tea. Right, now I hear a report that there are some very large, very grey animals somewhere just along this road. I am, of course, referring to elephants and nothing else. Let's just keep our eyes peeled for them. I would really enjoy a nice elephant sighting at this stage. We've had our lion, and he has escaped us. And poor old Maggie is probably feeling a little bit the worse for the wear, and every now and again, Jandre and I double-check to see that the tires are still vaguely pumped up. Let's go see what's standing on the termite mound. It looks like a buffalo. So not the large grey thing we were looking for, but a large brown thing. The wonderful thing about termite mounds, though, is that they give us a very different perspective on the animals that we see. Don't go running off now, boy. Okay, we've stopped. I know we're a very subtle approach that we made there. There's a figure that you would definitely not want to see bearing down upon you. An important lesson in making sure that you always check what's on the other side of the termite mound before you climb it. because you never know what you might encounter on the other side. And the grumpy buffalo bull is definitely high up on the list of encounters one would like to avoid on a Sunday morning. Now he's up on the termite mound because termites, as you can imagine, when they dig up from the depths of the earth, they bring that soil up from underneath the ground. They bring with it all of the nutrients that have been sheltered there for decades. And that means that very often you'll find good species of grass growing up on termite mounds, as well as some more nutritious trees. And just have a look. I don't actually even know if Jean-Ray can get this other buffalo. Can you get him there, or is he in completely the wrong place for that bar? Things are a bit more tricky on our makeshift Mahindra. Here we go, just look at this. Buffalo are by nature bulk grazers. In other words, they eat grass. Although, in times like these, their digestive systems just have to learn to cope with other things. In this case, a weeping wattle tree, which actually on its own is not even all that nutritious. Just goes to show how desperately these animals are fighting for survival at this point. Even if that includes changing their diet, not completely, but certainly supplementing. And it's not often you get to see a buffalo's tongue coming out and wrapping around tree leaves. That's because in general they don't eat them. They might, even in summer, nibble on the odd apple leaf, but it's very rare to see a buffalo targeting quite so enthusiastically a tree rather than a patch of grass. But then who can blame him? Because I'm not sure I would want to snack on the grass in its current state. Not that I'm a huge grass eater myself, but there's really nothing to eat, and it's not very appetizing at all. Now, a couple of days ago, and I still haven't relocated this particular buffalo calf that we saw, but a couple of days ago we had the most extraordinary sighting, Brian and myself, that we ended up being incredibly emotionally invested in, which was a young buffalo whose mother was struggling to get up and right herself after the birth of after giving birth to this little calf. And this poor little calf was so desperate, it was trying to suckle from a neighboring buffalo bull, which obviously wasn't met with much happiness on the part of the bull. Now, Tony, in terms of what's going to happen with all babies in the next few months, you were wondering if there's going to be less young born later, or if the young born are going to be weaker. I think that's probably going to differ from species to species. Impala, the wildebeest, and the warthogs, all of which have a very strict breeding season. There's a story that Impala can delay their giving birth in order to wait for the rains. It's not true. It's just because not all of them fall pregnant at exactly the same time. So it just depends on that season when they're all going to give birth and when they mated exactly to when they're going to give birth. I think Impala's young are going to be fine. I've just realized how much there is in terms of leaf litter in the vehicle with me at the moment. Maggie is now full of leaves. Mr. Buffalo? I'm not sure if, no, those are sort of meager offerings. Less babies? Yes, probably. Weaker babies? Yes, most likely. Elephants, buffalo, the bigger animals that are really going to struggle, I would say that they're going to be the ones that suffer the most. Warthog, you're going to see less offspring making it to full term, and less offspring even surviving once they have been born. So those are the animals that are going to suffer the most, I think. I think Impala babies are going to be the same. Maybe a little bit less, because the poor females, you can imagine the impact that a pregnancy has on their resources. Let me try that one more time. Sorry, Kirsten. Give me a second. Okay, repeat, please. There we go. Okay, we need to send you across to Brent. It's getting a bit jumpy on our side. We need to reboot.
Well, welcome back. We've decided to check the western sections. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like quarantine is crossed around here. As I say that, now that confuses me a lot. They have right on our boundary, unfortunately, on our western boundary of Cheetah Plains. It's a crossword puzzle we're not even going to start. We have a look. Let me try to find a nice one. I think they are quite old, not old, yesterday. You see that there, Brian? Oh, you see the very distinct, let me get on the right side of the sun. 3 lobes at the back, but a very long and narrow foot. And then at the tip you can see there, 2 little claw marks. Now, this is not a male cheetah. This is a female cheetah. And we were asked about a female cheetah this morning. But she's managed to sneak through without anyone seeing her. And right across our western boundary in Cheetah Plains. I'd say she crossed here last night. Probably, or last night, or late evening last night. Came from there. Very interesting. Oh, wait, what was that? Hyena tracks. Very interesting. This is a crossword we're not even going to start because it will only last about 10 meters. I've just got a gut feeling, and Brian agrees, that we're going to meander our way back to 3 in a row pan. As it's got a bit warmer, possibly something might come to drink. Ellies, buffalo, maybe some zebra, but hopefully one of the cats as well. Let's have a look. Yeah. This is an area of Cheetah Plains we don't spend too much time in. It's very, very thick. And I like to just come down here every now and then, have a squiz what's going on. I mean, look at that, a female cheetah went through here. But while we head back towards 3 in a row pan, Jamie has found something very large to show you.
Here we go. This is what we set out for before we got distracted by the buffalo on a termite mound. Elaine, and to all of our other elephant lovers, this is a sighting for you. And it's actually spectacular. Of course, I can't see, and Maggie, what you are looking at in terms of lighting, but from my perspective, it is absolutely beautiful. Just these enormous grey shapes hidden in the bright, bright green of the spike-thorn thicket, and is just absolutely stunning. It's one of my favourite places to see elephants, sitting in river systems like this. What do you think, big girl? It's okay. It's okay. You can come across if you want. Doing some serious thinking there. Twisting her trunk a little bit, just sniffing the air. Oh, cute! Is this why she's so nervous? Oh no, it's the little wrinkly foreheaded one. It's Benjamin Button. Ah, I'm so glad we got to see this little thing. Hello, hello. Alright, big girl. Very sorry. We don't mean any harm to your little baby. Oh, hello. Oh, speed wobble. Oh, goodness. Hey, big girl. Hi. Your baby's beautiful. Your baby is beautiful. Even if it has got a wrinkly forehead. Hey, baby. The baby that is only just a couple of weeks, if that, old, Brent named something ridiculous like old before his time, and one of the other viewers had a much better idea and called it Benjamin Button, just because of its wrinkly forehead. Oh, hello. Oh, we're surrounded by them. Sorry, I know that this is really awkward for Genre here. Very difficult position. Hello, big girl. Hi. Your baby is absolutely gorgeous. And I understand that you're feeling very protective because you're a young mom, youngish mom, and this little baby is absolutely minute. It's the wrinkliest baby elephant I ever did see. I know you can't see it at the moment because it's hiding behind mom, but it really is the wrinkliest baby elephant I have ever seen. It's incredible. Hello, Benjamin, hiding behind mommy there. We don't see you, but we will in a moment. Poor Genre attempting to. Hello, big girl. It's okay. It's okay. Genre says no, sorry. Okay. Sorry, Genre. That elephant chose the worst possible position to walk behind in terms of our abilities on the Mahindra. I just want to watch where she's gone. I can't see either, so, you know. Maggie maybe doesn't make for the best visibility in the world. Where has she gone? I can't see her at all. Okay, she's still on your side, okay. I prefer to be able to see what the elephants are doing around me, particularly new moms. Not that she's in any way stressed out.
Forward and do 180, she's fine.
Is she far enough away? Perfect, thank you. Genre says we can reposition. I'm just going to change my angle here so that I can see what's happening. She is walking away from us. So I'm just going to let her get a little bit further because her baby's separate from her for now. The trick. One day we're going to get a shot with this side mirror with an elephant in it. That's because it's fantastically says object in the mirror may be closer than they appear, which is a comforting thought when you're using it to look for elephants. Okay, there we go. She's turned around. So we can turn around. Absolutely. I'm so thrilled I got to see this little baby elephant. I heard so much about it. Brent told me he came home from the drive, and it just sounded so adorable, and now I can see exactly what he means. Ooh. Let's try to turn around in here. The signal might break up a little bit, but we should be back to normal soon. There we go. Beautifully relaxed herd of elephants. Can you see some of them through there, Genre? Perfect. Let's stop and have a quick look at them snacking on the spike thorn thicket. Not very appetizing. We saw the buffalo feeding on the weeping wattle. Spike thorns, like silver cluster leaves, incredibly high in tannin content, which means they taste very astringent, and they will suck away all of your saliva if you munch on them as a human being. Great for upset stomachs, not so much for the taste that they leave in your mouth. It's my pom-pom getting in the way there. I'm trying to duck it out of the way. It's very tricky when you can't. I'm not used to the angles. Now it's in the way. My apologies. I can't escape Genre. There we go. An elephant deciding that it's tired of the spike thorn diet. Time to move on and see what else it can find. I'm keeping an eye out for our little one. I want to show you another view of Benjamin Button. Definitely by one of the cutest baby elephants I have ever seen. And since our Ellies are a bit obscured here, let's try for one more view. Such a tiny little one. Good point from Shamsun, saying that I do smell like lion. Would it not bother the elephants? The whole area at the moment, Shamsun, smells like lion. This is where the female was keeping her cubs. the males have moved in. Oh, there's a gentle squeak from Maggie now. A complaint after all of my off-roading. Oh, get a big stick. Shamsun, yes, it could bother the Ellies slightly. Oh, what is that little one doing? Can you see it there, Jeandre? Little bit of curiosity there. Exploring its new world. And trunk not quite coordinated enough to fully master it. Might actually be eating Mom's dung as well, which they do for the antibodies and the bacteria that it will need in the future. So baby elephants do occasionally eat their mother's dung. Oh, that's cute. So Shamsun, I don't think it's me that smells like lion urine, I hope. We'll find out when I actually get off. I think Maggie took the brunt of it. Might be all over Maggie's side mirror. Yes, it could potentially bother the elephants if it was an unexpected smell. But as I said, the whole area at the moment smells like lion. It doesn't appear to be bothering them at all. But we are very, very cautious of our impact in those sorts of ways. Or if the elephants are showing us any sign of unhappiness, then immediately we would have moved away. But she is quite comfortable with us. And her little wrinkly baby, which is just too cute. It's like its skin is 2 sizes too big for it. Aqua. Well done, by the way, Aqua. Bravo on the name Benji, our Benjamin Button elephant. I think that is a brilliant name. Aqua, it would be wonderful to watch Benji grow up and fill out his wrinkles, which he will of course do, but I completely agree with you. I'd love to know what caused it. He looks like he's inherited a second-hand skin, like he's got an older cousin and it's just been a hand-me-down. It really is too sweet, but I agree. And the joys of SafariLIVE is that we might be able to identify. I don't know how quickly those wrinkles are going to disappear or how easy he's going to be in future. So why don't we have a look at Mom? Because he's going to be with Mom, very close with Mom, for at least the next 3 years of his life. So let's have a look at her identifying features so that we know in future when we are looking at Benji, the little wrinkly elephant. It sounds like the title to a children's book, doesn't it? So she's got a little nick flap on the outside of her ear. Oh, crunch. That's about her only identifying feature on that ear that we can see at this perspective or from this angle. She's got 2 relatively uniform tusks. One right, one slightly pointier, but that always changes because they break. So the outline of the ear is one of the best ways of sort of an on-spec identification of an elephant, because those nicks and cuts and imperfections will remain that way for the rest of their lives. And the car's about to rock a little bit. It's not Jeandre's fault. His camera work is perfect as always. I'm taking my foot off the brake, which I should have done ages ago. Oh. Well, that was, yes, that was very dramatic. I thought we were going to roll back further. And she's currently enjoying an entire, and that is a root that she's just pulled out there. She's dug up and pulled out a root system of what looks like it was a monkey thorn or something similar, and she is now crunching her way through it. So not even as they do with a stick or a piece of trunk, not aiming for the cambium layer of the bark, she's crunching the root, the entire root, because it contains, as you know, root is a storage system for a plant, so it contains a great deal of nutrients as well as water and nitrates, because as herbivores they do need to supplement their protein intake. The nitrates in the rhizomes of the various plants, particularly acacias and their relatives, provide them with the protein or the nitrates that proteins would otherwise provide in meat eaters and carnivores or omnivores. Her little one, Benji, is just being the cutest thing that ever walked the face of the planet. I know we were discussing lion cubs and that they are cuter than anything else. I'm pretty sure that because we're currently looking at him, Benji might win that title. But he doesn't want to be looked at anymore. He wants to do yoga behind Mom, which is fair enough. Do some morning stretches. Do some trunk coordination learning. We all got different impressions of what our little baby elephant looks like, and Maurice says that it looks as though she left the baby in the bath for too long. It's gone all pruny, like our fingers and our toes do. I think that's a brilliant comparison. Mommy, how did you get your baby so wrinkly? What on earth caused that? Oh, kneeling down. Imitating Mom. And Shamsun, no, I don't think his wrinkles are from dehydration, although I can see what you mean. It might have been a little bit of concern. But no, she seems to be, just looking at her a little bit, she seems to be lactating. I don't think it's from dehydration. I think this, and if a baby elephant was dehydrated to the extent that his skin was wrinkling, it certainly wouldn't have the same degree of energy that our little one is displaying at the moment. So I don't think we need to be worried, although that was a good point. It was a good suggestion, because baby elephants in this time of drought might be struggling if their mom's not producing enough milk, particularly a young mom, as ours is here. But at the moment, you can see that curiosity, attempting to learn how to pull up grass stems with its trunk, this bizarre protrusion on the end of its face that he has to come to grips with and learn how to use. And at the moment, that is occupying his current fixation, is that blade of grass that's there. Oh, she's nearly eaten, while we've been looking at her gorgeous baby, she's nearly eaten that entire root, crunching her way through it. Oops, tired of that now. You dropped it, girl. It's there. This little one wobbles its way around underneath Mom's tummy and attempts to kick up whatever it can find and then pick it up with its trunk. It isn't going terribly well at the moment. Kathy, our little one here, once he stopped sucking his trunk for comfort, oh, there's Mommy. Come on, Mommy, let Benji have a drink. Our little one will start eating solid food at around 6 months of age, is when you start to see them Oh, Mommy, come on, get your little one. You know, I said she looked like she was lactating. She actually doesn't look like she's lactating that much. The mammaries don't look as large as they might otherwise. But it might just be because she's young. It might just be because she's young and small. She is letting the little one try and feed now, but she's just distracted by the roots. But Kathy, 6 months of age, is the age at which they start to properly supplement. They will put other things in their mouths before that, and occasionally chew and swallow them, kind of like toddlers and any object that you don't want them to put in their mouth and chew and swallow. Baby elephants are much the same, and they often watch Mom or older cousins or siblings to attempt to... Here we go. Here we go, little one. Round you go. There we are. Except Mom won't really keep still because Mom's hungry. She's decided that she wants food first. As the poor little Benji attempts to latch on at the same time and dodge the kicking feet. And then water. Well, we've seen them drink water at about 3 or 4 months of age. They'll start to drink that. But mostly they will be entirely reliant upon their mother's milk, and she will lactate for up to 3 years after giving birth. And then comes the full-on process of weaning, which is not something that's appreciated by little baby elephants, nor in fact baby hyenas, which we were talking about earlier. and they start to have proper full-on weaning tantrums where they scream at their mothers. And a lot of the vocalizations that we hear come from screaming baby elephants being told they can't drink milk anymore. She is definitely thoroughly focused on something in here. She's trying to kick away the trees so she can get to the root system. Using a combination, mainly she's using her feet to dig, which is why poor Benji can't get in to have a drink. Oh. And he's not winning at all because she really, really wants whatever's underneath here. But once she's finished with this, then she will allow him to suckle. It's just because she needs her front legs. Elephants, apart from primates, are the only animals out here with pectoral nipples, pectoral mammary glands. It's making life tricky. Benjamin? No, not Benjamin. Sorry, Benjamin's the elephant. Don. Sorry. I got distracted by the elephant. Don, not Benjamin. Don would like to know how much I think Benjamin weighs. I'd say he would top out the scale at around, even though he looks so incredibly tiny, probably around close to 200 pounds, if not a little bit more. He's very, very young still. And he's not a big elephant calf, but they're usually born just under or around 100 kilograms, so close to 200, 220 pounds. So Benjamin will be a little bit bigger than that. So although he looks tiny, I suppose everything looks tiny in comparison to a couple of tons worth of mom. Ah, there we go. Well done, Mom. I mentioned that she is quite a young mother. Could well be her first calf. Although I'm starting to think perhaps second, because she has had a young elephant hanging out with her the entire time that we've been here. And the elephants do maintain their bond with their offspring. Hello. Oh, little one. That wasn't a very big drink, was it? It was not a very big drink. No. Oh, watch out. Watch out, that's a dangerous spot to be in. Davina, you wanted to know... I've forgotten what you wanted to know. I've got completely distracted by the elephant calf and by the approaching vehicle. Sorry. Oh, that's what we were talking about. That's why we were talking about why the mom is young. You wanted to know what age they start to have babies. And oh, she's given up on the idea of digging. She's now going to push the tree over entirely, or is thinking about it. At their earliest, they reach sexual maturity at around 12 or so. And they can have their first calf that young, about 12, 13. That's when puberty hits, or sexual maturity hits. It often takes a little bit longer for them to go into a true estrus and to be fully fertile and to give birth. Between 12 to 15 years of age is usually when a female has her first offspring. Our young elephant cow that's digging away here, she's probably under 20 years old. Oh, being a bit protective of her little one, chasing the other slightly older elephant away. But she is absolutely determined to get to the root system of this tree. And what we're watching in a way is quite sad, because there's a certain level of desperation for the elephants. They've got to spend this amount of time and put this amount of focus into searching for the nutrition that they need. Hello, Benji. You cute. Can't quite understand why Mom is so focused. You really are just the sweetest little thing. Oh! She's kicking away at the roots and at the same time Benji's getting in the way a little bit of her intently focused work, but she's finally, oh, ouch, that looked sore. It snapped sooner than she expected it to. she's finally managed to pull some of the root system free. Little Benji investigating exactly what Mom is having a look at. And guys, as you know, we do have small issues with the backpack and the batteries. What that means is that Genre needs to do a battery change at some point soon. So what we're going to do is, because we're going to disappear off your screens for a while, we're going to stay with our elephants. We're going to send you over to Brent, and we will be back with you shortly.
We went past a 3-in-a-row pan again. Unfortunately, no luck there. Temperature has dropped. We have reapplied warm clothing, blankets and gloves. Now, I'm just going to have another check through here on the southern boundary, just in case Queen Krula has made her way back later in the morning. So let's just have a quick look at the tracks around here. Okay. So this is where the kill was, and the hyenas dragged it to the north. Now, I heard Aubrey say after we went past here that it looked like Krula had followed those drag marks of the hyena stealing her kill. Now, this is not uncommon for leopards. It's more common for male leopards than female leopards, who will sometimes be able to steal their kill back from the hyenas. But a female leopard of Krula's size, that is probably a little bit unlikely. But nevertheless, it's definitely worth a check. Now I can hear some upset little batters, a little flycatcher. They get upset at nearly everything. It's always worth having a double look when you hear those little alarm calls. I don't know if you can hear them, Brian? Yeah. They're getting more upset, so I'm just scanning the bush here, making sure Queen Krula isn't just lying down somewhere close by. Let's move forward a little bit. Now, Jeremiah is wondering, will leopards make a kill even if they've just made a kill? Yes, they will. They are opportunists, and they are able to stash their kill in the tree. Just want to make sure she's not just lying close by here somewhere. I saw the batters fly. They could have been upset by a slender mongoose, a bird of prey zooting over. I think it's definitely worth having a look on Leadwood Road. So here we go. Here's the drag mark. Now I'm trying to see. The tracks following it. Well, so it's quite difficult. She's been here for a while, obviously, with that kill, so there's tracks in all directions. I think we're still going to go have a quick look on Leadwood Road, which runs parallel to where we are now. So while we try to figure out what's going on in this area, let's go back to little Benjamin Button.
Benjamin Button is being absolutely adorable, attempting to uproot what he's managed to find. It's now in his mouth, and he's pulling hard, trying to use feet just like Mom, but it just isn't quite working. The coordination. Oh! not 100% there. And sometimes, if your legs aren't long enough to take the step, you've just got to do a slide down into the road. Looking up in our direction, and just thoroughly curious at this age. Oh, what have you found? What have you found, little one? Got a stick. Yes, I've got a stick. And Mom puts this in her mouth, and obviously I want to be big and strong like Mommy, so I'm going to do it too. We're just going to roll backwards a little bit so that one of the vehicles can pass. And and Benji's gone hiding behind Mom anyway. Cool. I'm just going to shift back. I know the microphone looks ridiculous, but I was trying to speak softly. Chandra thinks it's hilarious. I like that idea from Lucy in South Bend, Indiana. I'm sorry, please ignore this. I could probably now tuck it back in. Sorry, Gooby. Okay. That's okay. It's okay. No reason to stress. We'll turn off until the other car's away. Lucy's thinking along the lines, you know when you see somebody with a puppy with folds and folds of skin and enormous feet, and you say to them, oh, that's going to be a big dog. Lucy said perhaps Benjamin Button is so wrinkly because he's going to grow into an absolutely enormous elephant. And perhaps he is. Perhaps one day, many, many, many years from now, when Safari Live is a virtual safari experience where you can look around and smell everything and feel the breeze upon your face, perhaps then, in 30 years' time, we will see Benjamin Button and look upon his enormous stature and look back upon Lucy's words. I'm going to go forward a little bit. She's relaxed again. People always said that about my dog Lexi, and they were right. She was huge. I think that's about as far as we can go. Now, for me, as much as I love our big cats and our graceful leopards, our magnificent lions, okay, so those of you who have always wondered about the vocalizations of other elephants and have heard those sorts of sounds before, and we've often spoken about, oh shame, the little one's actually a bit concerned. It's alright, Benjamin, it'll be fine. So that looked very scary to everybody who was watching. It wasn't. We often speak about the fact that what upsets elephants is other elephants, and there she was getting a bit cross with that young bull's vicinity to, first of all, oh sorry, I think it's a young cow, vicinity first of all to her baby, but also to the tree that she wants to eat. And competition for food at the moment is incredibly fierce. So what you saw there actually looked like bullying. Looked a little bit painful, but she never used the full might of her strength. She just conveyed her lack of appreciation, for a lack of self-respect for her personal space. And our little one's moving off. It's got a bit confused in all of that ruckus, wondering what's going on, curious, and responding like a human child might do, which is with a fascination as to how the situation is playing out. But that was incredible. That's not often that you get to see an elephant actually pin down another elephant, which is what she did there. And she wouldn't let it get up initially. Now, how incredible was that sighting? And I don't know what the sound was like from your perspective. It was so incredible, Chandra actually can't breathe. He's having to cough in the back there. But that truly was, I mean, that vocalization is absolutely astounding. And she's now calmly nibbling on her roots like nothing untoward has happened, because this actually does happen frequently in the elephant world. And now you understand when we say that what upsets elephants most is other elephants. Her baby's gone completely now. Perhaps terrified that Mom's going to be cross with him as well. She won't be. I think she is very, very hungry though. And that's why she's been so focused on the root systems and the tree. Shame. And one rather offended, rather confused young elephant has moved off, having been quite thoroughly chastised. It actually brings me beautifully into the answer to Christopher's question, which is how sentient I think elephants are. And I was on my way to talking about how much I appreciate spending time with them and enjoy spending time with them. And they really, I don't know how sentient, it's up to you, I think, Christopher, to decide how you feel about them. I know that when an elephant walks up to my vehicle and looks at me, I know that there is something looking at me. When I look into an elephant's eyes, there is something looking back. Not human, but there is certainly an incredibly powerful presence and a powerful intelligence there. And that's proven with facts in terms of the examination of an elephant's brain. Just under 3 times the size of a human being's brain, so proportionately not as large as ours compared to our body size, but enormous nevertheless. And with nerve pathways that do transmit and are connected to the emotional development of the species. And only whales, dolphins and whales, and the great apes and human beings have those nerve pathways. So you can interpret that as you want to. I feel relatively strongly that that's a sign that they are not human, but certainly there is a very, I would call it a powerful intelligence that looks at one there. I was going to reposition, I'm not going to. We've seen what she just did to that other elephant. I would prefer it if that wasn't Maggie risk incurring her wrath. And Christopher, of course, is talking about a lot of the videos that have come to light of elephants seeking out human help. I don't know how much of that is a deliberate decision. That, again, is entirely up to you. I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced myself. Yes, little one, it's time for you to come back to Mum. You are wandering very far afield. Not that she's shown any sign of concern. But it's all over. The drama's all over. I love that little elephant's behavior, an elephant calf behavior. When Mom shows aggression, the elephant calf goes running up next to her as if to say, yes, we'll show you. Another graceful slide. And this is the equivalent of a young child desperately wanting to taste a coffee and not really liking it, but wanting to try it anyway, because it's what grown-ups do. It's what this little elephant's doing here with curiosity. It was intense. It was an incredibly intense moment that we just witnessed. And it's odd that we haven't caught more of those moments on camera, because they do often occur, especially with mothers with young calves. They tend to be relatively short-tempered. Now the little male, not the little male, the little male that's been with her the whole time, I suspect is a previous calf. So Benji's older brother. And I think that's why he came running back when his mother started to scream, rather than running away, as the other 2 young elephants did. I think it's safe. There's a good chance that that is Mommy's older boy. So we might have 2 brothers there. I'm not 100% sure what that poor young elephant did to upset our female quite so severely. I guess it was just proximity to her baby. Perhaps she felt blocked in. And also she didn't want her near the roots that she'd just spent the entire time pulling up. Benji has just delivered older brother the root system that he was carrying. That's really cute. Older brother who knows a little bit better what to do with it. Oh, or not. Not entirely. Look at this, guys. You cannot witness a moment like that and not believe in the incredible power of an elephant's emotional intelligence. Look at this. Treated with absolute tolerance and gentleness from older brother, although given Mom's temper I wouldn't advise any other path of behavior. but nevertheless a really special bonding session between two little boys of a herd. And very often these young, mainly the young cows, but young bulls as well, actually accept babysitting responsibility. The whole herd is invested in the future of each and every calf. They're almost, although they have their own mothers, they're almost babies of the herd and are treated as such. Sometimes it makes them precocious little brats that come and cause trouble and tell on each other, which we've seen on the live safaris before. Here you go, Mum. Here you go, Mum. I found this for you. Doesn't taste very nice, Mum. Hurts my gums. Since I actually, at this age, don't really have much in the way of teeth. Oops. He stood on it. This is what, to me, ooh, I'm going to get into trouble for this, but I'll say it anyway. This is what, to me, makes baby elephants cuter than baby lions and even baby leopards. And I'm not denying that they are adorable. Oh, careful! I'm going to push that onto the poor little baby. It's their curiosity. It's that intense, and not to say that leopard and lion cubs don't have that, but a baby elephant has an intense, focused learning that you can really clearly see they're going about. It's not play fighting necessarily, although they do that. It's investigating the world around them. Perhaps it's not a competition. But there is something that connects human beings to elephants. You can decide it. I think it's actually quite an intensely personal thing, how people feel about them. Now, my mom's absolute favorite animal. My brother's absolutely terrified of them. What's that, Benjamin? What's happening there? Were you watching that, Chandra? It was amazing. Aqua, I agree with you. It's a very, very special little elephant sighting. This is a very, very special little elephant. And his mom obviously thinks so too. That fiery protective instinct within her. And Aqua, it's a pleasure. You don't have to thank me. I think that regardless of whether or not we were live or even broadcasting, Chandra and myself would be sitting here watching this situation play out, because it's absolutely, one cannot begin to look away from it. Oh, poor little Benji, so bored. Not bored, but looking for a distraction of some kind. All the adults are so busy eating and being boring. Here we go, I found myself another piece of bark, but my trunk's not very good at picking things up yet. Let me try and get up this incredibly steep incline. This massive step. Yesterday we were treated to another extraordinary elephant sighting, which involved a leopard watching them from the safety and security of a couple of guarri bushes. Quarantine in this case. And I mentioned the fact that baby elephants have better eyesight than the adults. They tend to be sharper. I don't know, I think it's a combination of better eyesight and also the fact that they're more focused on their surroundings because they're interested in what's going on. Justin, you were wondering, would a baby elephant have a sharper sense of smell than an adult? I'm not sure, to be 100% honest with you. generally children, I'm trying to base it off human beings, generally children have an incredibly well-developed sense of smell, often better than adults, or at least they're more aware of it. I think you might find that their sense of smell could potentially be stronger, but their sensory development and their brain development is behind that of an adult, so they're not 100% sure about how to interpret what it is they're smelling, I think. But that's not 100% certainty, Justin, at all. I honestly don't know the answer to that. It makes sense to me, though, that they have to develop their knowledge of the olfactory world in the same way they have to develop their coordination. Here's this incredibly steep hill again. Are we going to do another slide? Or are we going to stop and snuffle the roots? Yep. Oh no! Desperately trying to get it into its mouth. But the cord... Oh. Did you drop it? Mommy, I dropped it.
We just had a very brief visual of Shadow crossing the road, and we've tried to loop around to find her again, and we haven't had any success just yet. But we have found a male Inyala, and it did look like she might be stalking something. Now, that male Inyala might be a bit big for her, and we just, as soon as we spotted him, we stopped. But I think there's some more, another Inyala, another male Inyala as well. But she's somewhere within the 50 meters of us. It's a very thick area. Wind's picking up. Now, she's quite capable of killing an animal this size. But like with Karula and that male impala, the chances of being able to hang on to the kill are quite slim. Just sitting here and listening very carefully. Now the Nyala are behaving like there's nothing wrong. We know there's a leopard here, the Nyala don't. The only problem is she might decide that this Inyala might be a bit big and move around them, and we might lose it, but we are keeping our eyes peeled around us. And she has chosen a very, very thick, difficult area. So we couldn't follow her from the road, it was too thick, we had to go around. So unfortunately the backpack battery has expired and needs to go back on charge, so you're stuck with the killer bees for the last 30 minutes or so of the sunrise safari. I'm going to sit here for another few minutes. I'm watching all around, making sure she hasn't slipped past us. Now, I can only see 2 male Inyala. That doesn't mean there aren't some females around. And a female Inyala, or especially a young Inyala, is more sort of Shadow's size of prey. Just looking for any sign of movement in the bush beyond us. Now, of course, if she gets spotted, those Inyala will let off that deep alarm call. It's like, probably closely described to a dog bark. It's a burr, burr. That's only if she's spotted. I'm really hoping she hasn't snuck past these Inyala and us. So you've got the one Inyala there that Brian's showing you. And to the left, in the depth of the thicket, is another male Inyala. Right in the depth. I can only really see the leaves moving. So almost parallel to you, Brian. Might be able to pick up a little bit of movement there. So not only are we listening for the Inyala alarm calls, we're also listening for any bird alarm calls that might give it away. So let me just have a look where Brian's looking at the moment. A little bit more to the left. Keep coming. Keep coming. And drop a little bit. A bit to the right. Now, right in there, believe it or not, is another Inyala. Now, there we go. You can just see his feet moving. You can hear him feeding. But no sign of shadow yet. But I don't want to move around too much because those Inyala are quite close to us. And when we saw shadow is no more than 30 meters from here. Just gonna station standing by on Gary Main. Got to play the patience game. Okay, so a strong wind is going to help her. And she could be right there, and that leopard camouflage is so incredible. And leopards can sometimes take quite a long time to stalk their prey. Being ambush predators, they want to be within sort of 5 or 6 meters before they pounce. The wind is in her favor. Now, from where that Inyala is, where we saw her, was slightly to the left of her, but about 30 meters back. And she was jogging that low sort of jog that leopards do when they spot potential prey. So he's actually feeding towards where we last saw her. Oh, he's lying down. Oh. Is that going to make it easier for her? Now the wind is going to mask her movements. Even if she puts that foot out of place slightly, the sound through the trees will help mask her movements. As I said, the wind is in her favor. I'm going to try and move now that the nyalas have settled down. I'm going to try and move a little bit wider to see if we can see if there's anything on the other side. And in this winter, the colors around these Tumbuerti thickets will suit her camouflage perfectly. Let's see if we can spot where she is. So this is quite a difficult area. So we were there, we saw her run in down here. So I just want to check this animal path to make sure she didn't sneak past us. So there's no tracks there. I've got her. Okay, Brian. Straight down this animal path. There. So she's also playing the patience game. You see a little bit up? There she is. So she's watching those Inyala. Just judging from her language, I think she's probably a bit disappointed that they're big males and not young females. They might be a little bit big for her, but you never know. Now, I think that's the first time I've seen Shadow and Tundi in the same day. So we've seen both sisters. They are the first litter of Queen Karula, about 9 years old, both of the leopards we've seen this morning. I'm just going to try and move forward a skosh so you can get a gap. Say when, Brian, just trying to get you a gap, a better gap. I think that's, how's that, Brian? That's, I think, about as good as we're going to get without getting too close and disturbing what's going on in front of us. Although it doesn't look like she's lost interest in hunting those Inyala. And having a snooze. Aqua was wondering, she's asked to refresh her memory. Does Tundi have cubs or was expecting cubs? I'm not sure. We don't see Tundi really enough, and that sighting we had today was very, very, very brief for me to see if there were any suckle marks or whatnot. I don't think she's had cubs yet, though. So, okay, there's Shadow. And if we come out, there we go, coming out. And there's me. Hi. And there's the Inyala. Here's the Inyala. And he looks very relaxed, chewing the cud, ruminating. Now, I'm just gonna move slightly to try get you a better view of Shadow. It's going to take a little bit of a 68-point turn. try and make sure. Okay, she's moving. Maybe there's some other Inyala we haven't seen. Because she's not moving to the ones we can see. She's moving slightly further to the west. Now remember, we're watching this leopard live in the middle of Africa. And Brian is giving you the best view we can get. I'm looking at the exact same. I can only see her hindquarters and her tail. No, she's after something else, I think. And she's moved. I can't see her at all now. Can you see any movement, Brian? Standing by yours. Yeah, if she's just got up, I've just lost visual, and she looks like she's stalking something slightly more to the west towards the drainage line, but no more than 20 meters from Gary Main. I mean from Triple M North. Copy, will do. Ryan, you got anything? Let's move forward a skosh. Brian's got her. I can't see her. There she is. Well spotted, Brian. Now I'm trying to find them with my eyes. I can see them on the monitor. Ah, there we go. I've got her. What are you up to, madame? I wonder where the cub is as well. Now, they found her on Juma. We're on Arathusa at the moment, just across the boundary from Juma. Now, where they found her is an area she really utilized a lot to leave her last cub, Sindile, and I wonder if she's left that little female in that same drainage system no more than 100 meters from where we are. Now she's just sitting, listening. I'm just trying to hear if there's possibly not something else in this thicket that she's after. I don't think she's after these two big male Inyala. And you can see how well that camouflage works. It just disappears. No, I completely agree with you, James Richard. So even when the visual isn't great, the potential of a hunt is always exciting. And it's so thick here, we don't know what else is in this thicket apart from us, the two in Nyala and Shadow. Oh, she's coming back away from where she was going. Looks like she might come straight towards us. She's coming right towards us. Hello, Shadow. Look at that. Hello, girl. Oh, they're such exquisite animals. She is hungry, I can see that. Checking the wind. Very, very nice. Oh, she spotted something behind us. No, I think it's just those male Nyala. They're a bit big for her. So she's actually walking right past the Nyala that's sleeping and completely ignoring it. Okay, let's try back out of here. We did take us a 68-point turn to get in here, so watch behind you, Brian. And where'd you go? I'm pretty sure she's continuing through here on the edge of the thing. Straight ahead. Through there. Okay, I'm going to go around where we've got a little bit more open. Ah, got it. I wonder if she's going back to the cub. The cub, of course, could be on this side of the road just as easily. But it does look to me like she's hunting. Any stations in the west still mobile? Oh, she's been spotted by a Franklin. You can see her tail lifted up. Okay, let's see. She's going into a particularly tricky area. The Shadow's well known for that. I'm going to try see if I can find a spot to loop around. Whoops, daisies. You see it, Ryan? She should be popping out around this little open patch. There she is. she's changed her direction slightly. She's heading a bit more south now. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, off she jumps. I love it when leopards do that and they put their front legs up on the log. She's disappearing into the next thicket. I'm going to stay with her as long as we can through here. I said it is quite a difficult area and she is moving quite quickly. I think that's because she's hungry. Oh, she just narrowly missed the duiker. Oh, she charges. Oh, that was close. She must have missed that duiker by half a meter. She suddenly just leapt. And she's running now to try catch up. Can you see her through there, Brian? Let's go forward. That, you got it. There she is there. You can just make out those rosettes. So I'm going to leave her alone now. I think I'm going to let her hunt. I will come look for her, or someone will come look for her this evening, and hopefully there's some luck. But let's let her hunt in peace. She does have a little cub to care for, and I'm hoping that cub is on Juma at the moment, so very exciting. And we're just going to reverse back slightly. We might be able to get a long distance visual of her as she heads off. You okay there, Brian? I don't think so, I'm afraid. Off she goes into the ether. So turn around quickly. She has chosen a particularly tricky area to move through, but leopards tend to do that. So far, so good. My cat luck seems to be holding out. So every single drive I've been on since being back from leave, I've been lucky enough to see one, sometimes two, sometimes more than two cats. So this morning we had a very brief visual of Tundi, Shadow's litter mate and sister. And now at the end of the safari, we had a lovely view of Shadow right at the end as she walked right next to the vehicle. But it is now time for us to say toodaloo, nearing the end of the sunrise safari. And I'm going to say goodbye for Jamie and Gendre as well, as their battery didn't quite make the whole drive. But from the killer bees, it's been a wonderful cat-filled morning. And from the thumb and the spider flashing around in front of the thumb, hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday and see you in a few hours.